as the Ravens have high expectations in a tough AFC, but a little bit banged up in certain areas. And here to talk about those injuries, he's our friend from Baltimore Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show. Orthopedic Associates of Central Maryland brings us Dr. Scott Adams. Doc, what's happening? Good to talk to you. I hope you had a great summer so far.
So far, so good. Hopefully you as well.
Mine's been terrible, Doc. Let me give it to you. No, I'm just joking. Everything's been great. Before we get to the Ravens, we'll start with real quick about Cedric Mullins. Right adductor groin strain. For men, anything about the groin is very concerning, but explain exactly what he's dealing with. Looks like if this is the second go-around for him in the last month and a half.
Yeah, of course. And this is typically a muscle problem. And one of the big risks with the muscle problem is that you can have a recurrence of it. And so it's not all that uncommon for someone to feel like they're over a muscle injury and then either they aren't quite there and they either have a mild setback or in an unfortunate situation, a complete back to square one. But the adductor is a muscle group that basically brings the leg closer to the body. There's two groups of muscles around the hip that unfortunately sound very similar but do the exact opposite. There are the adductors, which are the muscle group that he injured, and that is taking the leg back towards the body. And then there are the abductors, which are more on the outside of the hip, and that takes the leg away from the body. And both of them are prone to injury. The adductor is a very common injury in baseball, and it's a very common one that usually should heal with conservative treatment. When he originally was diagnosed with this, they used words like grade 2 injury, and these just about 100% of the time do eventually heal. The fact that he's kind of been set back some makes you think either that he just had a small recurrence or just wasn't feeling 100%, but I still would argue that this should heal. It's just not clear how long it's going to take.
Hey, Doc, as soon as I hear how different is it than Bateman? Because we went through the same thing with Bateman last year, but, practice a day, not practice. And then are we going to hear that Cedric Mullins went up to see Dr. Myers in Philadelphia?
In theory, if the diagnosis truly was a grade 2, the answer is we should not hear that. Now, I think if he continues to have these sort of false starts and it just continues to bug him when he thinks he's over it, then it is possible. But the grade 2 injuries, they heal. They're the ones that typically don't need something more aggressively done. So again, based on at least the original information provided, I feel the book answer is no, we're not going to hear that.
Now, Doc, what could it be? Like Gunnar Henderson left lower back, and it's the second time he's had that. What could that be?
Yeah, also most likely muscular. The vast majority of these injuries, they're from twisting or landing awkwardly, and you're far more likely to injure a muscle than do anything more structurally wrong. This usually isn't something like a herniated disc or like a bone injury. The vast majority of these are going to be muscles, and muscles get pulled and the muscles heal on their own. And so it's just a matter of giving it the time to do so. And then there are tons of things that the trainers can do to try to help speed this up. But at the end of the day, it needs to be fully healed so that you have the same rotational power and also just not having pain when you're doing that. And then that's pretty easy to determine. And then you give it probably a little bit more time just to make sure that you don't get back too soon. And then it should be 100%.
All right, Doc, let's talk about our favorite guy, Rashad Bateman, who, we've known a lot about over the last couple of years. We've talked a lot about him the last couple of years. Now, he had the Liz Frank, had the screws out, and then had some pain and got a cortisone shot. And I'm guessing that has some pain again that's, hurting him running. What does all that entail?
Yeah, it is in a way a little bit concerning because this is a tough injury for anybody. Unfortunately, this is an injury that we do see in football players, and it doesn't have quite the reputation of some of these more obvious like knee dislocations or bad ACL injuries, but it can have every bit as much of a disability for a football player because it's oftentimes a bone problem and a ligament problem, or sometimes just a ligament problem. And The area involved is in the middle of the foot. You have your toes, and then in the back you have kind of the heel and that connects to the ankle. That segment of bones right in the middle, called your midfoot, is all connected by these big, strong ligaments. And when you injured the midfoot, that's what we refer to as this Liz Frank injury, and it causes all those bones to become unstable and they move out of the way. And so you have to go in and try to line them up anatomically, and then you have to hold them there so they can try to heal. And typically you do that with screws and plates, but like you said, you then take those out. And so this could be a few things. More than likely, since he got a cortisone shot, you have to assume that the injury was healed, because you don't really do a cortisone shot to promote healing. So it suggests that either he has developed some midfoot arthritis because of the injury and that has flared up, or the hope was that if he had some scar tissue either at the site of injury or from removing the screws, that perhaps the cortisone shot could help the symptoms related to that scar tissue. But you do worry that if someone before the season even starts is having these procedures done and talking about something that is most likely inflammation even before the bulk of the season starts, it'll be interesting to see if this is an injury that unfortunately we keep talking about throughout the year.
Now, Doc, how much will it have to do with, you're going to have pain, what kind of pain tolerance do you have? Is that going to be part of the issue here?
I think it can be. Again, since the hardware was removed and there is no mention of having to do any other kind of stabilization, you have to assume based on that premise that the injury is healed. If the injury didn't heal or he still has instability, then I doubt he's out there at all, because then the question is, can you cause more harm? So with the assumption that it's healed, which again is because we didn't hear anything else, plus he got the cortisone shot, it's probably an inflammation thing. And if you work on the premise that it's healed, then you're probably not doing any significantly more damage if you participate. So it does become a matter of how comfortable are you out there, and is the pain low enough that it's not interfering with your performance and ability to perform at the level you need to.
He's Dr. Scott Adams, Orthopedic Associates of Central Maryland. Doc, always great to hear from you. Thanks for the information and the insight. We look forward to talking to you throughout the course of the football season, and looking forward to talking to you anytime a major injury crops up with our favorite
Let's
teams
hope
here.
we don't talk to you till September 10th, Doc.
I'm all for that, indeed.
All right, Doc, have a good week.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Bye-bye.